Welcome back, my darling friends and beautiful beasts. This is the Macabre Maiden Metalcast, and I am your host, Ashen Rot. Tonight, we are not pulling the punches by any means. We're summoning a sound that mixes divine presence with gut punching riffs and eerie elegance. Rising from the shadows of Orlando, Sky Lighthouse brings emotional intensity and visual chaos, wrapped in heavy, haunting landscapes that cut deep and stay with you. Joining me in the dungeon tonight are my incredible co hosts, Jen and KT. Welcome, welcome. And tonight we are shining a light on the storm within. So, without further ado, let's not waste any time. Sky Lighthouse, welcome to the Metalcast. Let's talk about the chaos you've created and the calm within it. Thank you for being here. This is a huge honor to have you here. I've been really digging your music, and I know Katie has. Katie has been sending me a lot of like, oh my god, this is so good.
It is really good. I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, when you first messaged Paige and such, like we started diving in, and I was like, this has like a very like I Prevail kind of like Linkin Park almost sound to it, and I immediately just absorbed.
Yeah, no, hard agree, hard agree. I was definitely on board with that. All right, so I want to start by talking about Lies. It's one of my personal favorites. This track hits, it's emotional, brutal. Then there's the whole music video, right? So the blindfolded people, disturbing food, to the total discomfort, and then boom, empty plates at the end. It's creepy, metaphorical, and I think it's pretty brilliant. Do you think you can kind of walk us through the story behind Lies and that concept for the visual?
Yeah, the song "Lies" is basically about life, how people act when they don't see us like behind our back. So like for example, when everybody gets on the table, nobody has blindfold is blindfolded. So then later on the blindfold it's like it's kind of like symbolized like when you don't see people, what they will do behind your back. So that's basically the whole theme about this music video is about showing how different some people could be when you're not watching. So and you guys can see like every time somebody remove the blindfold, they go and do something nobody else on the table can see or realize what's happening. So that's the whole concept of the video. It's about what people can do when you're not watching, how different they could be.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I did get that from it. Yeah, that was I now that you explain it that way, it really makes a lot of sense. So I like that. That's awesome. Jen, I think you had a really good question.
Yeah, absolutely. So jumping in and keeping, I guess, like the feel of the band and what you guys are aiming for. Your music does have such a distinct identity to it. If you had to describe the core emotion that you're channeling through Sky Lighthouse, what would that be?
The emotion that I'm trying to well the whole message that my music always try to bring out is to make people realize that life is beautiful, but it also has dark moments, and no matter what, that's part of life. So we always look at the beauty. We sometimes don't pay attention of the dark side of life. So I try to show people like, look, life is beautiful, but we also have to learn how to live with dark times because we cannot skip them. We cannot ignore them. They will be there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Like, you always have
Yeah.
that darkness that comes with the light and the, like yin and yang and push and pull to everything. So, I think that's great. And we were wondering too, every band has that one track that really turns into a monster during production. We were wondering which one of your songs took the most unexpected turn from its original idea.
It was actually lies because like if you guys can hear lies, it has like kind of like a little electronic feel. So when I started the song, it was gonna be mostly electronic, but I don't know. I start feeling like the when I start adding instruments, it start giving me like a different feeling, and it turned out into like electronic, soft, heavy, like all different emotions in just one song. So yeah, I wasn't planning it to make it like that. I was planning on making it more soft and electronic, but at the end, I don't know. I just came out with this idea, and it went like all directions, like soft, electronic, and heavy. So I wasn't expecting for the song to turn out like that, but I'm glad it turned out.
No,
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah, definitely. It's a good one.
it is so great, and just, like, playing into what you had already, talked about, how, it explores that, the 2 aspects of life. It's interesting that that's the one that, like, changed into almost that beast and to reflect that image that you were trying to portray. Um, but moving along, we have a fun question that we like to throw in. Sometimes we just like to be silly. But you guys are from the theme park capital of the world. So naturally, if your band had a theme park ride, what would it be called, and what kind of ride would people be in for?
Well, I will say for my music, I will say definitely will be a roller coaster because like a roller coaster, it goes slow, it goes fast, you're up in the air. Sometimes they have like
Oh,
tunnels
yeah.
and it gets dark. So it's like that's life, Sometimes everything looks beautiful, breeze, everything is beautiful, and out of nowhere you go inside tunnel, everything is dark, you're scared, you don't know where you're going, but there is always like a light at the end. There is hope. So then you come out and that I will say that that definitely will be the one, a roller coaster. And a name for it, has to be like a maybe light and dark coaster. I don't know.
I love that. I love it.
Both. That's the one that I will say.
You hear that,
Nice.
Universal?
Yeah, you hear that? That's a brilliant idea right there. It's better than, It's a Small World. Katie, you had some really interesting questions that I know I'm really eager to listen to.
Oh yeah. So we know that the name Sky Lighthouse represents divine presence and guidance. Really powerful symbolism. Was there a moment in your life or career that made you feel like that message had to be heard?
Well, yeah, the older that I get and all the people around me, and the older that we get, we realize that, like I said before, life is beautiful, but we cannot ignore the bad times, the dark, and I realized that there is always hope. Even if you're going through something bad, there is always hope, and there is a way out. So that's like what I'm trying to let people know. Like, you know, we're all gonna go through hell. We're all gonna go through all these bad times, and there is hope. We just gotta keep going. We cannot give up. We just gotta keep going, and eventually, we will learn to live with our demons, make peace with our demons, and just keep going and keep enjoying this ride.
Speaking of rides again, the ride of life, the most tumultuous one we have. That's a great metaphor, Katie.
Um. So visually, your work is unsettling in the best way. What role does horror, discomfort, or surrealism play in your storytelling, especially in how you want fans to feel watching or listening?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big horror, movie fan, and definitely I like to combine. I like to combine like beauty and horror. So I like to like the messages that the message that I always try to come up to put out. I always try to make it interesting, real, and yeah, I like I said, I ask some horror to make it entertaining, but it's also real because at the end of the day, life is like I said before, beautiful, but it also has a lot of dark parts, and yeah, I would say horror movies is a big inspiration, and and yeah, that's basically one of my biggest inspiration for most of my videos, making them more realistic, and also beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got a little fun question to follow up, and a little off script, sure. But if you had to pick a couple favorite horror movies, just because I'm a big horror buff too, so what would be a couple ones in the top, let's say top 10 list, somewhere around there?
How many you want me to name?
Oh, let's say three.
Three. Definitely Saw,
Okay. Hmm.
Hellraiser.
Oh, good one. Very good.
That's like a one of my favorite ones.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and well, yeah, I would say Silent Hill is like That's also one of my
Ooh,
the video games,
that's a
everything
good
about
pick.
Silent Hill, I'm like in love with Silent.
Yeah. No, I love those games. They were spooky and fun, and I haven't been quite scared in games. Dead Space got me a little bit, but Silent Hill, that was the one for me. I was like, "Ugh," and I don't get
Was
scared
it?
that often.
Oh, mine was Resident Evil Zero.
Oh, okay, okay. That's fair
That one
enough.
kept me awake until I finished it.
Yeah, right? I know. The sleepless nights. Man, I think I need to go rewatch Hellraiser. There's a waste of good suffering, as he would say. That has been a good one of mine. I would say that's in my top 5 for sure. I like the slashers though, so, like, Friday the 13th, that kinda stuff. Recently, the Terrifier series has kind of gotten me. That one's I don't know, it's a little unhinged, but, I guess that's that. Curiosity has me. Jen, Katie, name one of those. What do you think? Give me a horror movie.
I like psych thrillers. Right off the bat, Silence of the Lamb is probably, like, hands down my
Ooh,
favorites. I
good one.
absolutely love, like, all the Hannibal series, even the TV series that they
Mm, mhm. That's a good choice. What about you, Katie?
Well, let me see here. It's kind of hard for me to think of a favorite because I've gone
How about just recent favorite? That works.
recent favorite. Oh, jeez.
I think I
Sorry,
smoked that.
I have not been able to pick what's on TV in such a long time. I don't even know what I like anymore. But I do one thing that did scare me as a child was that episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog with Ramses that scared the crap out of me. Uh,
Yes. Good choice.
one horror movie I like, The Taking of Deborah Logan. That was
Oh,
Okay.
that's a good one. A nice deep cut. I like it.
interesting. I like those.
Sure. All right, cool. I had to go off on a horror tangent because I could talk about horror movies all day long.
We need this. Because
We do, yeah, we do. Well, let's talk a little bit about name drop without name dropping rather. If your sound was a potion, right? So think about a potion. What would the key ingredients be? Emotions, colors, elements? Go ahead and get weird with it.
All right, so I'll say colors definitely like you guys see here in my
Yeah.
studio. I always use red, and
Hmm.
here you guys can see the blue, but I also have
A little bit, yeah.
somewhere in there here on the so blue and red. You guys also see my music videos. I always try to throw those colors somewhere
Hmm.
because red for me represents and for a lot of people represents like kind of like a dark evil color,
Sure.
and then blue more like a more pure color. So I always try to have that in my life because we all have those two always with us. And feelings, anger, happiness, kind of like depressions, all of those, all the feelings that we all go through one at least once or multiple times in life. Um, and what was the other one? Color, emotion,
Y yeah, so it's just your potion, so it could be things like colors, emotions, elements, etcetera.
bunch of instruments.
Perfect. That works. There is nothing wrong with that. And I could definitely tell there's a lot of fun overlays on the musical instruments that definitely stick out for sure, and it's very unique. I will say that's one of the things that really kinda struck me with your music is it really is something I haven't heard in a long time, it's that thing that I feel like I don't wanna miss out on, so I'm here early. It's and that's a good feeling. Cool. Well, I like that potion. It sounds a little chaotic, and that's also our euphemism for life too, right? Um, this this is kind of a deeper question, I suppose. But when you're not writing, recording, doing that kind of stuff, what is the thing that feeds your creativity? I mean, we talked that you were into horror films, but what about things like book, mythology, dreams, those weird conversations at 2 a.m., any of the above?
Yeah, most of the time, my inspiration comes from personal situations or other people that I know, family, friends, situations that might be going through on something or just me in the past, things that happened to me in the past. So basically all my songs, all the music videos, they have inspiration from my personal life or people that I know, people that surround me. And yeah, that's like what I try to base more my music on.
Mhm.
And a little bit, like you said, like horror movies, I definitely get
Yeah,
some inspiration from there. Even dreams sometimes, like that you
sure.
mentioned, but mostly it's just personal experiences and people that I know experiences.
Nice, nice. I like that. That's a good breakdown. Um, well, this one is kind of a question that I had just been thinking of since we got here. This is just something that popped into my head just now. So, I know, you were talking about like your experiences and things that influenced you. Uh, your description on Spotify said something along the lines of like, sky representing that divine presence, and then we have lighthouse, which is like that guide in your life. Just thinking of the name, like, we're all like, "Man, that's a cool band name. I'm gonna write that down." Did Is this something that stuck with you for a while? Like, have you had it in your brain for some time? You're thinking, "Sky Lighthouse, that's a great name. I'm gonna go with that one day." Or is it just something that just sort of popped up?
Well, I always been a fan of lighthouses, so
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I've been a fan. Plus, since I was a little kid, I used to just
Yeah,
look how they look, but I never knew the purpose of them. So until I discovered the purpose of a lighthouse, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought it was just like there's like a flashlight that it's dark, so you gotta see around. But no, they
sure.
actually to guide the ships and to make sure they don't get, so they can stay safe.
Mhm.
So I always when I discovered that mess, the reason why they were there in specific areas, I fell in love with that. And also, like like God in the sky, guiding
Yeah.
us. So I combined the two, and that's why I put the lighthouse in the sky, kind of like God showing us like the way and guiding us and always being there. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I just combined those two, and that's why I put the the lighthouse in the sky. So I was
I
it's
like it.
something that I always had inside of me,
Yeah.
and it has a deep meaning for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know I was immediately attracted to that. I was like, "Sky Lighthouse, that sounds very interesting, a good combo." And at first I was like, "Hmm," but the way you explained that really makes a lot of sense to me. It's a great name. Well, I suppose with that, this again is just one more question off, which I didn't mean to do. It just sort of popped up because I was thinking about it, and you have a deep inspiration for one of my top favorite bands, which is Linkin Park. My son is named after Chester, and I'm a huge, huge, huge. I even got the tattoo. So, One More Light was one of my favorite albums. So this is just a fun one. What was one of your favorite Linkin Park albums? And there's a lot, and that's a hard question.
Definitely hybrid theory.
Mm,
Definitely
mhm.
was one of my favorite ones because I mean that's the one that I'll say made me fall in love with heavy music. And
Yeah.
actually have a big poster of Linkin Park on the other side of my studio. And yeah, they were like my one of my biggest inspiration to start making heavy music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
I can tell that for sure. In a great way, and in, like, the most beautiful way possible, and it couldn't have come in at a greater time, honestly, to remember his memory and everything too, and, huge influence on my life. I think Jen and Katie both we've all talked a little bit about it, like, we've all kinda, like, talked about Linkin Park and how awesome it is, so that's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's always been deep for them to have, like, really, that cool mashup of, like, new metal, and then they've just been evolving over time, and that's why I liked One More Light, even though it kinda at first, people were like,
Mhm.
I'm not so sure," but, there's a lot of hidden meaning with it that I really enjoyed for sure. Well, that was, just a couple ramblings off the top of my head, so apologize for that, but not really. Well, I look forward to seeing where you go with a lot of these things and your inspiration. Before we let everybody sort of slip back into night, can you tell our listeners your journey, where you'd like to be next, new music, visuals, or maybe just something completely unexpected? What's in the future for you?
Yeah, I'm actually in a week and a half from now. I'm recording two new music videos, and I'm
Nice.
actually about to finish. Well, actually, I just finished my new album. So I'll be dropping two, hopefully three music videos plus an album plus tour dates. So
Hmm.
all of that is coming like extremely soon. Like I will say, like maybe 2 months from now, I will start announcing all of that. So three
Nice.
music videos, new album, and tour dates.
Wow, that is a lot. Piggybacking off that question, a little follow-up is like, what does success look like for you? Like, is it the size of the crowd, the freedom to create, or maybe just a dream to perform at Madison Square Garden? I don't know, something like that. What is that dream for you? What does it look like?
For me, my dream is just to, I will say, keep doing this until I leave this world, and being
Mhm.
able to just keep sharing the message and get it to more people, and yeah, just being able to just keep doing this until my last days, because sometimes you're working on something, and maybe you have to stop it because of something else. So there is
Mhm.
always like obstacles in front of you. So my goal is just to keep going, and just keep making music, keep sharing, um, all the methods that I have, keep sharing it, keep getting to more people, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's my goal.
nice. That's a great goal.
It is 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Well, without further ado, this has been the Macabre Maiden Metal Cast, and we really want to thank you for your time here. That's been great. It's been really fun. I have a lot of things I'm going to think about tonight, in the best way possible. Is there anywhere that people can go check out your music? Do you have like a website you want to shout out or anything that pops up in your brain?
Yeah, I do have a website, skylighthouseband.com, or I mean they can find my music everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, uh,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
YouTube, of course. And yeah, I'm basically everywhere, but if they want to find all my social media, my website, skylighthouseband.com, and over there they can go everywhere.
Perfect. All right. Well, you heard it here, guys. Sky Lighthouse. That is what you can Google. And I know for me, when I Googled it, it popped up everything. So I think you guys can do it. I trust our listeners. Well, again, we really thank you for the time. This has been a super treat. Anything else from Jen, Katie? Guys, got anything on your brain?
No, it was really enjoyable talking to you, Luis. Thank you again so much for joining us, and
Hmm.
stay cool out there in Orlando.
Yeah, little
Right,
warm,
right, really.
little toasty that way. I am not jealous of that heat. Well, again, this has been the Macabre Maiden Metalcast. Thank you very much for our guest today. Sometimes here on the Macabre Maiden Metalcast, things get a little weird, but we just want to remind you that that's okay. So until next time, stay haunted, stay heavy, and always look toward the lighthouse in the dark.